everyone, and welcome back to Becoming the Product. I hope you're all doing well. It's Naya, your host, and today I want to tell you a story, not about frameworks or career hacks today, but more about what happens when your lived experience pushes you to build something that you cannot ignore. Because GigSecure did not just come from a hackathon idea, it came from a question that wouldn't leave me alone. So let me take you back to when it all started. So prior to transitioning to product management, I worked in a bank, in a traditional bank here in Lagos, Nigeria. And things like your health insurance, your pensions were kind of automatic. Every month I get debited for my pension and I just get a notification. For health insurance, if I was sick or if any member of my family was sick, all I needed to do was go to a hospital that was already on our list and flash my ID card, and I was good. I was covered. Everything was moving well. But everything kind of changed when I transitioned to remote work. And all that automated was not there anymore. All the automation on pension, on health insurance, HMO, I had to take it into my own hands. And I realized that as at then, though, that some of this insurance were not built for people like us that work remotely or freelancing. And it kind of hit me that I am not a freelancer, kind of, even though I was working remotely, a gig worker in many ways, and I felt like I was on my own. So I started asking some questions like, what happens when gig workers fall sick? Like, who supports when the work is not consistent? You know that for gig workers, and when I say gig workers, you see your freelancers, your Uber drivers, people that don't have your typical 9 to 5, so your delivery men, everyone that falls in that category. Sometimes what money is not consistent. How do you even plan for a future in that kind of scenario? That was why I came about GigSecure, which is a micro insurance tool for freelancers, gig workers, anyone working outside the traditional system. And in 2023 was when I started building it out. I first of all worked on a prototype for a competition that I was in at that moment. And honestly, I didn't know if it would matter to anyone but me. But then I also applied for TEF, which is the Tony Elumelu Foundation, for the grants for people with ideas such as mine. And I got that congratulations email. Congratulations, you've been selected for Tony Elumelu Foundation. And like, I couldn't believe it. I was just staring at my screen. And deep in me, I kind of felt like it wasn't just a validation of an idea. It felt like a nod, like, well done to every gig worker who has ever had to choose between taking a gig and taking care of themselves. So let's talk about the build exactly. Because it was a competition, there were timelines and there were rules and all that. I didn't want to be too crazy about the features. So this is where MVP really comes in play. So I selected just the features that I was going to use to showcase that, okay, this is the solution and this is how it will work. So it was me just by myself with my tools. So for the front end, I used what you call Flutterflow, which is a very good app if you are used to it. You could use it to create mobile apps or landing pages. So I used Flutterflow for my mobile app and the landing page. For the back end, because there was it needed to store some data collected from the front end, I used Supabase to house my database and all that. I use Buildship for the logic, in that when certain things happen, when certain actions happen, just like Zapier, that you connect the dots in a way. So that was what Buildship was for. And there was an AI component. The AI component was to analyze certain data and give results. I used OpenAI for that. And I used on the landing page, there was a document there to collect like a CTA survey form. I used Airtable for that. So I used a couple of forms, and AI was kind of my friend during this. So every piece was built around real needs like affordability, simplicity, relevance. And was it perfect? Of course not. It was very, very like basic. I just needed to prove the idea. That was what I went about. So what I've learned about this whole journey, because it took me legit maybe like 6 weeks to get that MVP, just that feature, just to showcase that this is the solution I want to do for this particular idea. It was really crazy, and I learned so much. I learned how to use certain tools. I learned how to prompt AI really well. I learned how to talk. I had to talk to some technical people to get understanding of how certain things worked, and it was a learning experience for me. But some of the things I learned was that your pain can actually lead to purpose. My experience wasn't unique. It wasn't something that just me was facing. Some other freelancers, I know in our country, Nigeria, sometimes insurance is not really talking about because it's not really spoken about, because people kind of think that not everybody needs it, that it's for just the traditional 9 to 5ers. But when you really take into consideration that there are options for gig workers, my experience to me wasn't just for me, it was for everybody who was going through what I was going through and needed like a solution. Also, no code isn't a shortcut, it is a strategy. So because I didn't have a dev team, I couldn't code, I couldn't do anything. I was dependent on no code tools, simple no code tools, even though I didn't go the simple route, but I went to tools that were easy to use, and I built what I could within the time frame with what I had, and I shipped it. Also, you don't have to wait for validation. But when it comes, for instance, how the feedback I got from the competition and also the feedback I got from Tony Lumelu, it kind of reminds you that voice matters. So if you have something like this, something that you wish existed, or something that I keep talking about but haven't built it yet, right? So this is your permission to do that. You don't have to wait for the perfect time. You don't have to wait for the perfect title. You don't have to have product manager on your title. You don't have to wait for the perfect plan. Just start. Start messy. I spent nights learning how to use the tools that I eventually used to build my prototype. Start small. I had a couple of features, but I just picked one that drove the idea and I could use to validate if there was actually a market for it. So just start really small. So for my solution right now, I'm still building, I'm still listening. If you're a gig worker, if you're a freelancer, you want to hear more about it or share your experience, you can always DM me. I'm also waiting on my application to Tony Elumelu. Hopefully I get successful and I get access to the grant that I will need to take this to the next level. So if you're a freelancer, if you're a gig worker, if you're a remote employee, I would love to hear from you. Like, do you have insurance? Is insurance something you think about? Or do you have like an emergency fund you rely on instead? What protections do you think will make you feel safer? From the discussions I have, I've heard equipment insurance, like your laptops, or the insurance that has to do with supplementing your incomes when your incomes isn't consistent. And also, what kind of tools do you wish existed for people like you? So you can send me a DM on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, or if you're subscribed to my newsletter, you can always send me an email. You can reply to the newsletter and I will definitely get it, so that we can continue to validate this idea and get it to the people that really need it. And before I go, if this episode has done something for you, you could also check out one of my mini courses called Build with Permission. It's my mini course on how to go from idea to real and working products using simple no-code tools. Some of the major products you see right now started from something small, as an Excel sheet or a Google form or a landing page. It doesn't have to be that big tool. You just need something small to test out an idea, and all this can be packaged in a way that it shows your product thinking as a product manager and helps you with your proof for when you go into interviews or have discussions about roles. It is made for people like us who want to build something meaningful and visible. Or you could grab the SMART roadmap, the PM roadmap that I used to help me transition to PM. But you could use it to map out your next big move, if that's the word. Maybe you want to do a promotion, if you want to change roles, you want to move to different departments. The map can be edited in a way that it helps you with your next big move, especially if you're pivoting or you just feel stuck. So I want to say thank you so much to everyone for spending time with me today. Thank you for your messages. Thank you for always tuning in. You can always follow me on social media, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. You can always subscribe to the podcast. We release episodes every Monday. And you can also subscribe to our newsletter. I share a lot of gems in there. I talk about some testing things that you might not hear on the pod, and I share resources there, so you have access to a lot of free resources. So thank you so much once again. Keep building, keep becoming, and I'll see you in the next episode. Have a great week.